Hey, it's New Pants.
It's Jay.
And today we have our special guest, long awaited, the kid from the Six, Jibril Osman.
Hello. Hello, guys. Nice to be here.
He's
And,
got a mic, Mike.
That's true. That's true. Do you mind introducing yourself? So you started as a blogger, right?
Yeah, so my name is Jibril Osman. I started writing professionally at 19 with a blog called Kid from the Six.
Six.
Which is hilarious, even when I say the name out loud, because it's funny to me. You know,
Yeah.
it's just funny to me.
It's
But
like
yeah,
an inside joke or something?
it's not an inside joke. It's just like, it's one of those things where I made the website's name on a whim.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like, you don't really realize the significance of something until you look back later on and it becomes like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's like, to even be called Kid from the Six is hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where it all really started.
Do you still make merch?
No. I'd only done that because it's one of those things to like make things seem legitimized.
Yeah.
Like, oh, like you have a website, put a shop section, or, you know, like put a contact details section. So it was one of those things where it was like, if you go on the website, it looks like legitimized, because I feel like a lot of things are perception based. So it just was one of those things where I was like, it was fun for me personally, like a passion project, just to make hats and do all that stuff. But I mean, in terms of like actually making merch and like making t-shirts and selling it out and doing all that stuff, that's like a whole entire business.
Yeah.
And like, it's not one of those things that you can take lightly, or it's even remotely easy to do. So it could have never really been a pure focus of mine. I think it was more just to show people that, hey, like, there's a shop on my website, like, this is serious, like, take me seriously, kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Fair enough.
Now that you have that experience, give me that. Yeah. Now that you have that experience, what do you think is more important to you, though, visually speaking, like, as a brand, being seen as an official by like having like merch and a store and all that, or standing out from the crowd? Which one do you think would be more important?
So I think when it comes to like the overall arching idea, when I was like really serious in my blog, I would say from like the period of like 2014 to like 2017, it was really important for me to like let it be known that like my blog was going to be something where I was just like nonstop on every music thing. Like, a lot of people, when they make their blog, they kind of like write about their own opinions, or like think it's like some day-to-day diary type thing. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to run my blog like a Complex would run their blog, how Noisy runs their blog. I'm going to go on every other website. I'm going to find out what song comes out at what time, when things come out, be prepared, write actual blog post pre-saved when I know a song's coming out in a certain day, so it's already there. And I have to give like a massive credit to a website called KanyeToThe.com, because that's legitimately the culture of music when it comes to like music leaks, when it comes to news, when it comes to the entire industry as a whole. Complex, Fader, Noisy, all of these blogs, like everyone who's like really in the music industry, like really in it, like knows Kanye Tithe. If you don't know what Kanye Tithe is, like, I think you need to like take a step back and really evaluate what you're doing in the music industry, because Kanye Tithe is the culture. And it's not even me just saying that to say that. Like, a lot of people that like I look up to that have written for Complex and Fader and Pitchfork and Noisy, they know what Kanye Tithe is. So I have to give a lot of credit to how I stay on top of my news. But going back to your like brand and visualizing things, a lot of things is perception based. So even like when I started getting media passes and festivals, I had only gotten those things because I had shown these PR people that my website was generating a lot of traffic. And not only was I generating a lot of traffic and still continue to generate traffic, the majority of my traffic has been organic SEO, which a lot of people don't know is search engine optimization. I always pronounce that like poorly, but because again, not to like go on like a long tangent right now, but a lot of people when they have a music blog, they usually stop because they're like, oh, I'm posting about music, but it's not really gaining traction. But the only way you can have longevity with your blog is if you put in keywords and you understand headlines and you start to rank on Google, because that's when things will go positive for you.
Right.
Yeah.
If that answers your question.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you're saying the idea is to do whatever is possible to rank on Google or whatever?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that could be, sorry, but that could be through the idea of trying to look legit.
Yeah. So, not to cut you off there, but so I had learned this really, really early on with my blog. So I started it in July 2014, and I think when I got to August, like I got the sense from a lot of people where it was like, oh, like your traffic's eventually gonna stop. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna be able to really keep it together. And I'm like, that's true. Like I need to actually proper research. So I realized the only way like I can really like continue this and to not like be considered a failure to people, because like I can't allow myself to like fail, not only for myself, but just for other people's satisfaction. So I researched, and the only way a blog can really survive like for a really long time is if you rank on Google, right? But with Google's algorithm-based system, the only way you really are taken serious by Google is if you constantly blog nonstop, you're constantly having original content, you write a certain amount of words in your blog posts, and over time, if you continue to do this, Google will basically say, oh, this website is serious. I'm going to rank his pages or her pages on Google. And that's exactly how I really started going through the positive direction that I was going to.
So
That's
you're,
so interesting.
You're really going into the algorithm.
Yeah, that's really important.
Really like how YouTubers today and say that you got to upload every day. So that makes
Yeah.
sense. Because I remember over the years, I felt I was on your Facebook page or something, and yeah, you were really you're still pretty consistent. You
Yeah.
put up your blog posts. So how was your transition from your own blog to writing for the 405 and doing interviews for like rap season?
Yeah, so like I said a bit earlier, I was like blogging essentially nonstop from
Yeah.
2014 to 2017. And in this like period of time, I would, because I'm the type of person where I don't assume like things are just not possible. So like I would see like people's Twitter emails, or I would like figure out who's really like the know-to in the music scene in Toronto. So not only would I like come up to them and talk to them and like have conversations with them, like I would have like no fear in that, because like even when I had my blog in the first couple of months, like I had already seen like the potential in it. So when I would talk to people, I would tell them like I already can tell like my blog is like you know how you have like an inflated ego, I guess? Like Kanye really has a really good thing where he says like, people may perceive me as having like this like massive ego in the beginning, but I only have that to like instill confidence in myself. So like even in the beginning, like I had already kind of like had confidence to like talk to people that like a lot of people would be afraid to, because they don't really see themselves like on the same like level. So in those like formidable years like blogging, I would like network and talk to people in Toronto. But I would start to get a real like sense in the city that a lot of people, not only do they not really know what they're like really, really doing in their careers, but if they are knowing what they're doing in their careers, they're like, it's really hard for like someone to say, hey, I'm gonna give you this opportunity, but there's not a lot of opportunities out there. So if I give you this opportunity, it might be detrimental to me. So which is like again another important key. So
I see what you're saying.
yeah, so I went through a lot of moments in those formidable years where I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna stop networking and just focus on my blog. So I kept doing that, and then at a certain point I was like, okay, I can get media passes, which is cool. I can cover events, which is cool. I was pitching to like Complex and like Noisy, and like I would have these like interactions with these writers, but I wouldn't like, nothing would suffice. Because when it comes to like pitching articles, you get paid for those things. So it's not something that's even like easy to attain. But at a certain point, I was kind of getting like frustrated, because I was like, if my blog is becoming successful and I'm getting all these media festivals and I'm doing essentially what a complex writer is doing, I should be like being noticed for what I'm doing, right? Which again, like nobody deserves anything. But again, like every human being will get frustrated at a certain point. You know, they'll reach their breaking point. So by the tail end of 2016, I realized I would never get like an actual interview with an artist on my blog because like, again, back to the perception thing, it's all about statistics. And if a publicist is going to reach out to you to have an artist get interviewed that will help them get press, they're not going to give you the interview on your platform because it won't give the reach that the artist needs. So luckily for me to go to the 405 conversation, this editor, Samo, she had followed me on Twitter, but I took notice of it, but I didn't like think nothing of it. So late December, I was like, okay, I'm not really getting much out of the Toronto publications or anybody really in Toronto. People have told me I can write for publications, but it never really went anywhere. So I'm like, maybe the 405 is going to be my platform. You know, it's a UK publication. It's not Toronto based. Maybe that's where I'll get my pathway into this field. So there was like kind of a catch. You don't get paid for the 405. It's like a free platform. But in my mind, I'm like, I don't care that I'm not getting paid for this. I will finally have a platform where I can actually build my portfolio and it will work out this way. So again, the person, Samo, I DM'd her on Twitter. I said, hey, this might seem like totally unprofessional of me to DM you on Twitter, but I noticed like you're writing on the 405. I noticed the 405 in general. I'm a fan. I have my own blog where I continually post and do stuff. Would it be okay if I can pitch you ideas? She legitimately was the first person in the years prior to actually say, to actually really notice me and to say, yes, I will let you write, and then to actually do what she said. And then that's where I started writing for the 405. So that takes us to like 2017.
Yeah. So in a way, the 405 is kind of like Medium, you know, the blog.
Not in a sense that, no, that's actually wrong, because the 405 has a massive reach, like as a platform in its entirety. Saying that you don't get paid for the 405 is not a detriment to the 405 because you have to pay your dues, like regardless. Like I literally did not make any money, like a significant amount, until October of 2018. And I started my career July 2014. Like I made money through ads on my blog, which people considered impossible, but I was actually making money through my ads. But you have to pay your dues. So the 405, when I started writing for the 405, I did like opinion-based articles. And then when it got into like the summer, my editor, Samo, she gave me an opportunity to do an interview with Goldlink. And that was the first time I'm like, oh, maybe I can interview artists. Maybe I can do that. And through interviewing that artist, I like started like knowing like certain PR people from like labels. And that's when it started opening the door for me. So to go back to it being like a medium, no.
Oh, like medium.com. They have.
Yeah, like you know how you can write your own like post?
Yeah.
No, because with Medium, it's like, Medium is basically like my own blog, basically. Like you can show someone your Medium articles. Like I could show someone my blog just to like show you my portfolio. But if I tell somebody that I write for the 405, then they will allow me to like actually interview artists and cover major events because I'm on an actual major platform. Again, going back to the whole perception thing.
Yeah, before I pass it to Jay, what was Goldlink like?
So that was my first. That was my first interview, and I swear to God, that was I still contend that was, like, none of my interviews are awkward, like, because I usually break the ice and things are really cool because I'm a fan first. So like when I talk to an artist, like they know that I'm a fan, and I would never like ask a question that I know would like, you know, bother them or anything like that because I can understand their point of view because I'm a fan first. You know what I mean? Like before I even made my blog, I would post all these songs on Facebook that I'm listening to and tell my friends like who to listen to and stuff like that. Like I took like real pride in that. Like my sister like put me onto music and like I kind of like followed in her path basically. But yeah, so Goldlink, I get to the venue. The PR person introduces me to Goldlink. We go into like if you've never been in the Danforth, like you enter and there's like the floor. We go into this green room and then the green room is so small. So this is my first interview, right? So the green is really small. I've never interviewed an artist in my entire life. I'm still a bit like I will never get like like shocked into an artist, like be like nervous and oh my god, it's this person. Like I don't really feel that way unless it's like someone I look like a Donald Glover or a Drake, like if it's like Kanye West or like somebody who like doesn't feel real to me. And like that's not even to like knock like any other artist, but like everyone has like people that if they meet like they're gonna just be shocked.
Yeah.
So when I interview artists, like I'm stunned because it's like this is real, but I always like normalize it immediately to myself. So we get into the screen room, it's so small. I'm like, cool, the PR person's gonna be there, right? Like I'll feel less nervous. PR person is like, okay, Jibril, you can set up with Goldlink on the couch. Let me know when you're done in 15 minutes. He closes the door and it's just me and him. And I'm just like, bet. Literally, like in my mind, like bet. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna put my phone down and set up. And then at the beginning, he was just like the questions were like back and forth, but not too much detail. And then eventually, like again, like learning the craft of interviews, like eventually, like I got like more and more answers, and it became like more formidable. But in the beginning, man, it was shambles because I'm like, man, the PR person just left me in this room, and you know what I mean. So it was literally like being thrown into like the whole world of interviewing, and which like I look back on that one, which I know I've grown a lot since. So on your point with Goldlink, that's actually really enjoyable because in that interview he told me that Crew that had just come out, he told me that song was gonna blow up, and like it did. So I love like looking back on my interviews like that.
That's amazing. I love that story.
Yeah.
And also, so when you're interviewing these artists and by the way, the whole point about normalizing interactions with celebrities is so important.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said that. But yeah, when you're interviewing these artists, do you see work ethics or like characteristics that is also in you? Because I mean, at the end of the day, sure, like one is more successful than the other or vice versa, whatever. But like the fact that you guys are doing something and are out there, right? It takes I feel like it takes a certain characteristic, some sort of work ethic to get to that point. So I do feel like these successful artists all have some sort of characteristics that is common in all of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this hunger, you could say. So is there any certain characteristics that you saw in like Goldlink, for example, when he was talking about like the whole idea of Crew is going to be successful?
Yeah.
And then, you know, going back to how you were saying, you know, since from the jump, I was thinking that blog is going to be successful.
Yeah.
Any similarities?
Yeah, exactly. So my favorite thing about interviewing an artist is like you're talking to somebody who's like living out their dream. Like they've like legitimately like done the impossible. Like they have lived a life where I guarantee you somebody told them that this was impossible. Because I mean, every single person in the world has gone through a moment where they felt like somebody has like been negative to them. But there's a difference between somebody saying, I think you're gonna fail this course, or I don't think you're gonna make the basketball team in high school, to somebody saying, I don't think you're gonna be a big artist. Like, becoming a big artist is like 1 in a million. So when I interview an artist, I always like ask questions that like kind of like are in that same vein. So like even with Goldlink, when he like met up with I think Rick Rubin around that time, like people don't meet these, you know, we don't meet like these people, like, you know what I mean? So it's like even like I don't consider myself a traditional journalist. Because like I've gone to Humber, I've gone to Centennial. Like I'm not a person who's gonna go to like an event and like get like I'm not a reporter, you know what I mean? But I think like when people look on my like portfolio and they wonder why I interview like different genres, male artist, female artist, like anyone, it's because every single artist has a story to tell. You know, they all have the different routes that they got to get there. So going to Goldlink, like knowing that crew was blow up, it goes back to what you said. It was a good point. Like I had a feeling that my blog was going to do well because at the end of the day, it's like people can believe in you all they want, your family, your friends, or anything. But if you don't actually believe that you're capable of something, or you don't see the value in yourself, not only will you not progress to whatever career field you think you're going to progress to, you won't even try because you'll think it's impossible. You know what I mean? And that even goes back to me networking in Toronto and talking to like important people. Like there are many people that I've talked to who I considered in a position that I thought was achievable in my eyes, but I never got the respects that I felt with my blog. It was like, oh, I see that you're doing this really cool blog thing, but I'm not gonna pay it no mind because I'm busy doing my own thing. It's like, that's why like right now, like with my where I'm at in my life right now, I'm legitimately helping like any person that I can because I know what it feels like to not get help. I know what it feels like for somebody to say they're gonna do something and they don't end up doing it. So every single thing that I do, not only will I help you, I will legitimately do it. And that goes back to even my editor, Samo, and to other people that have helped me along. It's like, I don't forget who helped me and you have to pay it forward at a certain point. You know what I mean? But again, you have to have confidence in yourself to even utter the words, my blog's gonna do well, or Goldlink saying crew's gonna do well. You have to have confidence in yourself to say things like that. And then not only do you speak about it, you actually achieve it.
Yeah. That's really, you hit a big one there. Because we were talking to some dude in advertising and he was like, you gotta put this idea or this belief into the world for it to happen.
Yeah.
Or else, nothing's gonna ever happen. I was gonna ask, with writing blogs and reporting for other organizations, what's the toughest thing about it? Is it dealing with their managers, their people, or is there just something that always bugs you that's kind of in the way?
When it comes to challenges, I would say I don't know. I think every journalist goes through it. Like sometimes a PR person will tell you like, let me see the questions you're asking, or there are certain things that you shouldn't say. I mean, personally for me, that's like common sense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like in terms of like don't ask the wrong questions, it's just common sense. You know what I mean? Because like a journalist to a publicist is a publicist to a journalist. You both need each other. You know what I mean? You're helping me further along my portfolio, and I'm getting the press that you need. You know what I mean? It's very like it's a close relationship. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, it's respect too. You know what I mean? So if a PR person tells me like don't ask that question or do that, it's like, of course I won't. You've given me this opportunity. Why would I do something that would negatively impact what you're doing, right? So a lot of journalists, you know what I mean? It is true, you know. A lot of journalists will be like, I'm gonna ask those questions. You know what I mean? I want to get the story.
Yeah.
And I think you can still do that. You can ask tough questions. You know what I mean? It's like when I went to Centennial, like I had a course called The Art of Interviewing. You know what I mean? You can ask hard questions. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you have to ask it in a certain way that will ruin the interview.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a way around it. And again, going back to like when I interview artists, I have their own. I know their perspective because I know I kind of can relate to like anybody can relate to an artist. You know, that's the whole point of why we're fans, because we relate to them. So it's like if an artist is close to somebody and they like. It's like with all of the like in the past 2 years of all of these artists that have like passed away like tragically, it's like don't ask an artist in an interview about that artist that passed away. Like, yeah, you want to know how they feel, but what do you like? You know what I mean? Like have decency when you're doing it at least. So again, for me that would be common sense, but for a lot of other writers, you know, they're trying to get the story, they're trying to the scoop or whatever. But it's like have respect for not only yourself, but have respect for any situation you're in. You know what I mean? Because reputation is important, and if you do things the right way, it'll go a long way for you.
Yeah, you're just answering all the questions. Like, you just because you're like a comedian's comedian. You know what I'm gonna ask.
It's gotta prepare.
It's beautiful.
Like, thinking about it, the
Yeah.
driveway here.
Yeah.
Here, let me get one.
Sure.
Just a simple one. I'm just wondering what you're listening to right now.
This is gonna be hilarious because everybody knows in my entire life. Actually, no, I'm not gonna refer to that artist first because that's just the.
We can guess. Give us a hint.
Of course, I'm referring to Kiana.
Segway.
You maybe have thought you maybe thought I was gonna say Blade, cause shout out Blade, I love Blade, but no. Kiana has all of my attention. I feel like you'd probably ask me about that later on,
I would.
so I'm not gonna jump into that right now. But Kiana is legitimately
Beast.
like. She's like literally like I'm speechless to how talented she is. Like, and there's so many times she told me like she felt like she didn't think the music thing was gonna end up. And when you hear those things, you're just like, okay, so I gotta work like 50 times harder because there's no way you should feel like that. And it goes back to my whole career of never feeling like people have helped me.
Yeah.
So like, but we'll touch upon that later. Kiana's a superstar. Like she was a superstar when I met her. She was always a superstar. Like. Tremendous, but
she will be a superstar.
yeah. But talking about an artist that I'm listening to now, without mentioning that, Blade. I love Blade. Like I know he's one of those artists where like it's a hit or a miss. But for me, I think Blade's incredible. I listen to a lot of Lil Peep. Rest in peace, Lil Peep. That one hurt. Juice WRLD's album's really good. I'm starting to really get into that. Solange, really good album. I never really was really big fan of Solange other than Cranes in the Sky, but her new album is really, really good. Greta Van Fleet, 1975. Tame Impala, Billie Eilish. Yeah, that's pretty much the rotation. And on top of that, I listen to a lot of like old albums too. We really need new albums this year. Like there hasn't been a lot yet.
It's been kind of slow.
Yeah, we're still waiting for like J. Cole to tell us what's going on with these Revenge of the Dreamers sessions. You know, I think Middle Child did so well that he kind of like took a step back from that, but he needs to dive into that. Kendrick been quiet.
Real quiet.
Drake said he's gonna return in 2020. So yeah, I think we're all waiting for like the big release of the year. But yeah, that's who I'm pretty much listening to.
Yeah, just kind of in the same lane. Who do you think, what obscure or small artist who you think is gonna blow up soon? Like a 6ix9ine or like a Blueface or maybe like somebody more positive like a Billie Eilish. Is there anyone on the horizon right now for you?
Billie Eilish is
Monster.
I saw her show. I actually almost interviewed her, but it didn't work out. So I just reviewed her show on Halloween. That was surreal. Cause like you see like all the stats of her numbers and stuff like that.
42 streams.
Like
monthly.
you can see it. Like even J. Cole, like people are faking their streams. Getting their plays from machines. Like you go to a Billie Eilish show and you hear these fans like shout her songs. Yeah. You're like, my God, her fan base is strong. Like when I saw her at the Phoenix Theater and I reviewed the show, I'm like, okay, she's a superstar. Like this isn't even a joke. So in terms of like who's gonna be really massive, Billie Eilish is gonna be like she's got the game on lock.
Yeah.
Who else? I'm gonna plug it again. Yeah. Kiana is literally gonna be one of the biggest artists to come out of Toronto, literally this decade. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not gonna say too much on what we're currently doing, but Kiana is literally the next big artist to come out of Toronto. Like that's not a joke. Yeah. Going back to like me saying my blog is gonna be a success, Kiana is literally gonna be one of the biggest acts to come out of Toronto. Who else do I think is going to? I don't know, man. I think we need more positivity in music, other than who's gonna be big right now. You know, we lost a lot of artists
people,
in a quick succession.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we've seen this many artists pass away since like Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, and Jim Morrison, like all passed away in the span of like 10 months, I think, back in the 70s. Like, the industry is like, there's like a lingering sad feeling. So
Wasn't the 27 Club because of that too?
yeah, so with the 27 Club, of course it got the interest got renewed because like Kurt passed away in '94 and he was 27, and then Amy Winehouse. But yeah, man. So
Yeah.
on the note of like we just need some positive music to come out. You know, let's get back to the positive nature of things.
Yeah. I don't want to keep remaining on this down point, but yeah, I've been listening to a lot of Mac Miller recently because I really loved the direction he was heading.
Yeah.
It was just everything I wanted to hear, and yeah. But on a positive note, let's just get right into Kiana. Kiana?
Yeah, Kiana.
Yeah. You're her manager, right?
Yeah. So this is crazy. So basically, there's I don't know, it's hard to really describe. So basically, like, I got the job with United Masters in October of 2018. I had done what everyone had considered impossible. You know, I landed like a job in this industry field, working for not only my favorite writer, my mentor, somebody I looked up to, somebody's who blueprint I followed like to a T, Ernest Baker. Like he taught me that, like, not even just like through words, like through his writing, he taught me that I can write this way, like a first person narrative. I can write this way and I can be successful, and I don't have to listen to people who criticize my writing or anything like that. If I can write the way I write and it's emotional and it's real and it's honest, I can make something of myself. So he just, like, going back to Samo, who mentored me, like, without Ernest, like guiding the light and doing what he did in his career, and he continues to do, he just, like, he's the greatest, honestly, when it comes to this this whole stuff. Like, honestly, the greatest. To work with him, like, it's like a dream come true. Like, honestly, a dream come true. Like, it doesn't even feel real. But yeah, so I got that job, and then, like we talked about earlier, like, the plan is for me to go to New York and work there. So I kind of felt like I had learned all of this stuff in the past like, my blog will turn 5 years in July, which is surreal too. Like, I've learned all of this stuff, but I've never been able to help someone else. You know what I mean? Like, Samo helped me, Ernest helped me. I just never, in all the years, you know, I was never able to pay it forward. You know, I blog about artists that are, like, I'm friends with or, like, I'm close with, and I try to get them, you know, press and help them and do certain things and, like, motivate my, like, friends and like who do creative stuff, and, like, try to, like, give them guidance and stuff like that from everything that I've learned. But I've never really truly helped somebody. So with Kiana, like, there's an artist that I write about, Jarrell. He like, I've interviewed him on my blog and stuff like that. I was like, you know how you go on Instagram Discovery, like, you see what people like, photos they like. So I just looked at, like, one photo that he liked, and I saw Kiana, and then I looked at her profile, and then I'm like, oh, like, it's music. She does music. I listened to With or Without You, and I'm like, who is this? You know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? And then the song transitioned, like, the second half of the song transitioned, and I was just like, this is like the greatest thing I've ever heard. Like, what the hell is this? Like, what? Like, this person's from Toronto? Like, where has this person been? Well, like, you know what I mean? And then, so then I literally DM'd her on Instagram because she followed me back, and I'm like, that transition is like that's crazy, right? And then she was like, thank you, like, oh my God, thank you very much. It's like one of my favorite things that I've done, you know. And then I literally told her, like, with all the people that I know, like, I'm like, if you need press or you need anything, like I can't even wait to go to a show of yours. Like, let me know when you know what I mean. So then we had like talked back and forth for maybe like a week or 2 weeks, just like talking about our music interests and stuff like that. And then I went to a concert. Langston Francis, he's a Toronto artist. I interviewed him in 2017 for the 405, and he had done a show at the Burdock venue, which like is like a small venue. And then around the same time, I was connecting with Kiana. I'd gone to a Langston Francis show at the Mod Club that he did, and like I'd seen his progression, like his growth, and I was a part of it too. Like I did press around him, and I'm hearing Kiana's voice, and I'm like listening to all of her music, and I'm just like, I just had a feeling like I think I could do this. I think if I use all of my connections and my networking, and I work as hard as I've done on my own career, I can manage her. You know what I mean? So I wrote this like 8-page plan. I never even talked about this out loud, other than like with Kian and the team that surrounds us and stuff like that. But yeah, I wrote this 8-page plan that I'm not going to get too detailed into, because you know what I mean. Let's keep it confidential. You know what I mean. There are certain people that are outside of our team that have seen this plan. But yeah, she read the plan, which, man, I spent 2 days on that. Like I perfected the crap out of it. You know what I mean? I was never more nervous in my life at that point. So I emailed her the plan, and then she was like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. I would love for you to be my manager." And it was one of those things where it's like, you know, she believed in me. You know what I mean? And that meant even being like the manager and anything like that, like she believed in me. That mattered to me more than anything. So yeah, I made this 8-page plan. I added members to the team: Saba, who does our creative work, Maggie, who does our photography. They're both incredibly talented. And even though Saba's creative and Maggie's photography, like they do a lot more than that, because we're a team. Yeah, we essentially accomplished every single thing on that plan. So back to just believing in yourself. We spoke like everything into existence. I can't believe it, honestly. You know what I mean? Because like you can say something, but then when it happens, it's like, how do you even pertain that? But I feel like I talked for like 15 minutes straight there. But yeah, so that's Kiana. She's like, and like the past 4 months have really gone really fast, and Kiana is now like the growth has been like incredible from when I met her. But going back to like believing in people and seeing people's potential, like she always had that inside her. You know what I mean? So no matter how successful she gets, or in becoming like this, in the big artist that I saw her, she always had it inside her. You know what I mean? I just been guiding it along. You know what I mean? So yeah.
So what's her? Sorry. So what's her? To be superficial about it, what's her brand? What's her story as an artist?
So Kiana moved to Toronto at the age of 5 from the Netherlands.
Okay.
She lived out there. She moved in North York. She had always loved music. Like she told me she always loved music. And then she like, you know, tried her hand at it. You know, she like went about it the way she went about it. I'm trying not to like say it. I'm just trying not to say too personal things that she's told me, so I'm not gonna like dive too into it. But yeah, like just like how I always wanted to be a writer, she always wanted to make music. So before I met her, all of 2018, she started her career with her first song, With or Without You, in January. And then even beyond me helping her, like as I have like since late November, December, she had gone on Made in Toronto. She's done North by Northeast. She did the Mod Club. She did showcases. Just her etiquette of the way she was dealing with herself, like believing in herself, never giving up. You know what I mean? Writing her songs, connecting with producers. Like, not only is she talented, she's one of the most hardworking people I've ever met in my entire life. So it just makes me even work a lot harder. But her whole story is basically my whole story. You know what I mean? She's wanted to be a musician her whole life. This is her dream. I wanted to be a writer my whole life. This is my dream. And so in terms of her brand is the fact that she's Persian. Her culture and her background is incredibly important to her. Like that's who she is. So it's one of those things where it's like, I've told her time and time again, you know what I mean? Like, the bigger that you get, you know what I mean? You're gonna start to represent like your culture, you know? Persian girls are gonna look up to you and be like, you're the one, you know what I mean? You're doing it,
Yes.
you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
you represent us, you know what I mean? It's like Nav saying, you know, I'm the brown boy, you know what I mean? I'm sure,
Get it poppin'.
yeah, I'm sure he inspires like other people like that. So I tell her all the time, like, and she represents it well, you know, in the branding and stuff like that. The first thing she ever told me when she showed me her mood board of what she wanted to represent, her background was number one priority. That's what she wanted to get across. Because, you know, the reason why we become fans of artists is because like we feel like we can relate to them and they're honest and they're truthful and they show us who they really are. And her brand is her culture. You know what I mean? And when
MIA of Persians.
yeah, exactly. And when it comes to her music, it's about her life, you know. It's about Toronto. It's about the feeling of Toronto. It's about, you know, the weather changes. It gets cold. You know what I mean? That's the soundscape that she makes, but she's not boxed into any type of genre at all. She can do literally anything, and you know, her brand is going to continue to grow and grow and grow. You know what I mean? Until it gets to what she wants it to get to. But, you know, she's talented. And that's an understatement.
Yeah.
Just a random question. Do you think age has anything to do with success?
I mean, I think we could all agree here that there's some like weird sense that like if you don't figure things out by 25, like your entire world collapses. Like the movie 2012, like if you get to 25, like, and you haven't done anything, like you failed, you know what I mean? Which is unrealistic. But I'm gonna be honest, like I feel like I work incredibly hard because of that for some weird reason. Cause like, I don't know, man. Again, I'm not gonna lie, you know what I mean? I look at Lorde, you know, she released her first album at 16. You know what I mean? That's inspiring as hell. Billie Eilish 17, you know what I mean? It's like, holy,
Tyler too.
Tyler, you know what I mean? It's like, I think, but then, you know what I mean? You look at Chadwick Boseman, you know what I mean? Who Black Panther, you know what I mean? I don't know his exact age, but I'm fairly certain he's in his late 30s, early 40s, and he landed his biggest role ever in his career. So, you know what I mean? Stan Lee started his career late too, you know what I mean? Age, you can do anything at whatever age you want, you know what I mean? I just think it's where you choose to get inspiration from.
Age is a good motivator though, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a motivator because if you see a 17-year-old doing something, you know, why aren't you doing it? You know what I mean? If you see it's like, you know, it's like those like gym workout videos when you see like a 60-year-old in the gym. You know, it's, you know what I mean? It's like if he's doing it, why aren't you doing it? You know what I mean? And that goes back to instilling confidence in yourself and believing that it's possible and working really hard. You know what I mean? If you're not doing it, nobody's gonna do it for you. So you know what I mean? So yeah.
And the concept of a genius, when people call other people geniuses.
Jay-Z,
How do you feel about that?
Jay-Z said the greatest thing ever at a concert, and it speaks volumes on everything. He literally told the audience, he said, every single person has genius level talent inside them. Every single person. You just have to figure out what your genius is. And once you know that, you can do whatever you want. It's literally that simple. You know what I mean? Like, and again, it goes back to what Kanye said on his song Last Call on the College Dropout, where he says, like, you know, people say that people see that he's cocky or like he has too big of an ego. But I mean, if you're not gassing yourself up when nobody's gassing you up, you know what I mean? If you're not your biggest cheerleader, you know what I mean? how are you gonna do anything? You know what I mean? So you have to believe that you're a genius. Like you have to believe you're smart. You have to believe you're these things. And it goes back to like being in school. I literally never got a single award, an award in my entire life in my elementary school, my middle school, or my high school. I never made honor roll. I got average grades. So going back to perception, nobody really looked at me like I'm a genius at all. You know what I mean? My writing, the only thing that I knew I was really good at, I never got really good grades because my grammar and spelling is still a work in progress. So I never really got good grades, but I always just believed that if I believe that I'm a good writer, I'm a good writer. You know what I mean? And it will work itself out. Like you can literally probably go on my blog right now and there's probably grammar and spelling mistakes, but that does not take away the fact that I believe that I'm a good writer, and it didn't stop me from where I'm at in my career. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. Going back, I really love how you brought up, cultural identity and representing your own. This is gonna be a weird. It's not a segue, but we are guessing that you're Somalian. You have a Somalian background?
yeah. So I'm half Kenyan, half Somali.
Okay, we got 50%.
Yeah. My mom's Somali, my dad's Kenyan. My dad is from he's from a place in Kenya that used to be a part of Somalia, so technically I'm like full Somali, like if we get to like the finer details of things. But like on paper I'm half Kenyan, half Somali.
I guess you're born here, so
Yeah, born here, North York General Hospital. I've been here all my life.
First generation?
No, my brother's from Toronto. My sister and my brother are from Winnipeg, and then my oldest brother and sister were born in Somalia. My parents are so yeah, it's just like a hilarious progression of things that led us all here.
does that, do you think about how your community is represented, or does that kind of show up in your work too unintentionally, like thinking about your own culture and where you're coming from, and maybe even supporting artists from there?
It's actually hilarious how you asked me that for two reasons. One, I will also say that not only am I Kenyan and Somali, I'm Muslim as well.
Yeah.
So when I go to these industry events and all of these people look at me and they're like, "Oh, Jibril, like, do you want a drink?" Or like, "How come you're not drinking?" It's because I don't drink. You know what I mean? That's against my religion. I don't do that. So, you know what I mean? Even like people that are like friends of mine, you know, I think they still look at me like, "How come I don't drink?" And it's because it's against my religion. So when it comes to like my cultural background or just anything like that, I don't know. I think people will be like, "How are you a journalist in an industry and you don't drink or do anything negative?" It's like, because I don't. I don't feel the, not only is it against my religion, I just don't feel the desire to drink at all. You know what I mean? But when it comes to my cultural background, I actually got the opportunity to interview this Somali artist, a Somali Canadian artist named Amal. I probably butchered her name into pronunciation, which is terrible because I'm Somali. But yeah, I interviewed her. She's a massive Somali Canadian artist. We shared a lot of similarities, and I've yet to properly transcribe the interview. But knowing that I'm about to get an interview published that's from a Somali artist in Canada does hold a lot of weight to me, given my background. You know what I mean? That's I think that's one of the first interviews where I literally went to my mom and was like, "Can you believe it? I interviewed a Somali artist." Yeah. And of course, the Somali community is so small in Toronto, so she already knew who I was referring to. And not only that too, there's a rapper, Layla Hendricks. I covered a show of hers, The Hustle, The Academy Presents. So yeah, you know what I mean? It's definitely cool when I can interview artists that have my same background, you know what I mean? I think that just holds, of course, it's just more special. You know what I mean? Just like how if I was a Persian girl and I listened to Kiana, it's more special, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Have you heard of, sorry, I'm going to go on. Same wavelength. Have you heard of 88 Rising?
Yeah, I have. It's hilarious. I didn't know Joji was a part of like the pink thing that he did. I didn't even know that. You know what I mean? I heard I heard yeah right. I'm like, this song's incredible. And then like I told my friend, I think I put it in the group chat, and then my friend Mohammed was like, oh, he's Pink Guy or something like that. He's like a YouTuber. I didn't know that. So yeah, I've heard of Idiot Rising. Joji's amazing.
Yeah, he's definitely the leader of the whole label. Yeah, Lady 88 Rising, to me, it's everything I was looking for. I would never there's a comedian on YouTube called David So, and he always talks about how he's a chubby Asian kid and he doesn't see himself in the music industry because he doesn't think he's marketable. But if you look at, I don't know if you know the Hire Brothers,
Yeah, I do.
they got a fat kid in there just like me, and that's a dream come true. That's,
Man, representation matters, man.
yeah, it's just so valuable.
Do you have like a sense of responsibility or even guilt when looking at, because you are like half Kenyan, half Somalian, like do you have this responsibility of like, oh, I have to represent my own
It's a burden.
people? Yeah, it's like a burden. Like, oh, I have to represent Somalian artists, or
No, it's not a burden. I think.
No, what? Not a burden.
Oh.
Badly
Sorry,
worded.
dude.
Oh.
Weight on your
No, definitely not a burden. Sorry. More it's like, oh shit, why am I not representing? Oh, look, all these like black and white artists. Why am I not representing my own?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
That's exactly why when I started really interviewing artists on the 405, I was like, I'm going to interview male artists. I'm going to interview female artists. I'm going to interview artists of all genres. I'm going to interview literally not everyone, you know what I mean? But I'm going to be very diverse in my portfolio of work to highlight everyone the best that I can. You know what I mean? So when it comes to like, it's by chance, you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna be honest, you know what I mean? I looked at my email and I saw Amal and I'm like Somali Canadian, and yeah, of course that immediately caught my eye, you know what I mean? Given my background, you know what I mean? I'll tell you right now, from the time I made my blog till now, bloody hell, like my email I get a ton of emails, you know what I mean? And yeah, that caught my eye because we have the similar background. So, yeah, I think the responsibility to me is understanding that just as much as it is important for me to get published as a writer, there are artists around the world that just want to be noticed. Mm-hmm. And if I can, at the very least, tell their story and get them noticed in these interviews, then I'll do it. That's my responsibility to myself.
Love it. Thanks.
So like, that's
Yeah,
a cool
that
answer.
was incredible. I guess moving on to something else. What do you think? Because you kind of came up, the struggle, like this platform specifically. You think putting content on, kind of like a no jumper, kind of system will work, or is it more about getting a hold of bigger people and bigger platforms to work with us?
The way I see it, and the way I figure everything is, if you just continue to deliver content, and even if this is how I literally looked at it. I'm like, if I'm running on the 405 and these PR people are giving me all these interviews, right? If I continually show them that I am able to interview any artist, eventually they'll realize, okay, Jibril can do more. We can give him a major artist. We can give him a bigger look because he not only has he earned it, I think we see that he can do it. So like when I got flown out by Sony Music Canada to cover the Solange event, that was not only was that a dream come true and it was surreal and I couldn't believe it at all. It cemented to me that I have reached a different level in my career where like all of the dues that I did and all of the interviews that I did have led me here. So when it comes to your platform right now, if you just continue to interview a ton of people It is, I promise you, it's all about perception of the eye. If you continue to interview a bunch of people, people will start to look at your YouTube page and think, oh, something's going on here. And then you'll keep on delivering content, and then eventually you will start to get someone who's like medium tier important, or maybe you get someone who's really important, and you keep on bringing it in. And then when it comes to like reach and network and connections, of course it has to do with how you promote the videos and stuff like that. But let's put it this way, like if you had Drake on this interview on any of your shows, his reach will blow up your channel. You know what I mean? So it took me years. It took me years to get my massive interviews. You know what I mean? So if you just keep going at it, you know what I mean, you will reach that point. You know what I mean? I can give you all the advice in the world, but it's like, yeah, I can give her all the advice in the world, but at the end of the day, it's like, how bad do you want it? For me, I've sacrificed, you know what I mean, for this, you know what I mean? I've spent the past 6 years working overtime, and, you know, not a lot of people know this, and I'm not going to get too attached to it, but like I was born with a heart condition, you know what I mean? Like when I was a baby, like it was 50-50, you know what I mean? I almost died when I was like 3 months old because I have a heart defect called tetralogy of Fallot. So the doctors like told my parents, like, we don't think it's going to work out. Like, you know what I mean? And of course, God willing, you know, it worked out. But I know what it feels like. I spent the first 18 years of my life going to sick kids every 6 to 9 months through elementary school, middle school, and high school. You know what I mean? And it didn't change my mind or anything. I didn't play sports differently. You know, doctors always ask the same question: are you keeping up with everybody? You know what I mean? How is your heart? How are you feeling? And because of this experience that I went through, you know, I still go to the hospital for checkups less and less. You know what I mean? And I'm 100% healthy. But what my heart condition taught me is like, no matter what you go through, if you can manage anything, you know what I mean? You really can. If you put your time and effort into anything, you can do it. You know what I mean? I don't look at my heart condition as one of those things where it's like, I'm different from others. I look at it as like, that's a part of the story. You know what I mean? For me, that's, you know, I survived a 50-50 surgery. That just makes my story even more incredible to me. You know what I mean? And so just going back to how this platform would work out, you just got to believe, man. You really just got to believe. Because, like, and then it gets to a point, too, where, you know, like, people will, like, say the page gets bigger and bigger, and then people will be like, well, you know, you didn't struggle, or you didn't go through the dues or whatever. And I'm sure I'll get to a point in my career where people tell me that I didn't struggle or I got like handed opportunities, and like I'm not gonna be like, oh, I had a heart condition, you know what I mean? Like I know what struggle is, you know what I mean? I'll keep that to myself. It doesn't matter to me at all. But all of that is to say, it comes from within. You know what I mean? You know who you are. You know what you're capable of. So you just have to go ahead and do it.
Here you go. Just one more. Sir. I'm enjoying this, by the way, a lot. This usually doesn't go down this way.
Yeah, and I'll say too, like I know eventually in my career, like I'll probably get an opportunity to go on panels and stuff like that, but I'm not the type of person who like, I'll maybe get to a point where I truly believe that panels make a difference, but I really don't think they do make a difference. Really? Because if I'm in an audience and I hear somebody talking about their own success, like it's like cool, like yeah, you have a success, but if I want to have a conversation with you after and you're not really reciprocating the energy you just gave me in that panel, and you're just telling me your own story and you're not really doing much, I don't know what this experience really did for me, you know what I mean? And that's not to say like knowledge can't be given during a panel, because it can. And I've been in an audience in a panel where I've learned a lot, you know what I mean? But not only do I feel like I've really done nothing of value yet, which might seem crazy to people, but I don't feel like I truly have done that much yet. I just don't feel like panels do what they're supposed to do. So I have really enjoyed this video, and I've enjoyed talking. So this might be one of those like rare occurrences where I actually like say all these things. So I have been enjoying this. So, but yeah, you were saying?
Yeah. Shit, what the fuck was it? Oh yeah.
You're gonna make him cry.
Sleep. Oh, you're gonna make me cry for sure, man. Sleep. How do you feel about it? Like, do you think we could? You're talking about the whole concept of working overtime.
Yeah.
Do you think you can sacrifice sleep for this, or do you think it's about balancing sleep with work?
Man, my time management is. I think the crazy thing in the world is people probably think I'm like so super organized and like, detail oriented, and for the most part I am. But man, you know what I mean? Because like I can talk about how I work with United Masters. I can talk about how I've been managing Kiana. I can talk about like maintaining my music journalist career, and like all of these things are like in itself careers, you know what I mean? And it takes like all the time in the world to put your energy into it. And I have, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, you know what I mean? I still go to, we're filming at Humber right now. I went through Centennial, went through Humber. Like I've lived like from the moment I had my blog at 19 to the time I'm 24 right now, I've sacrificed like, you know what I mean? People, and I think like if this is like near the end of the interview, I think the best way to put it is your mental health, man, is really, really, really important. Like I've had people tell me that I was a terrible writer. I've had legitimate professors tell me that journalism might not be a career path for me because music journalist is completely different from being a traditional journalist. And there's so much negativity you can take, and the best way to describe this, and maybe this might be the last question or answer or whatever, is I had an internship at Vibe 105, and when that internship ended and I graduated from Centennial and I got my diploma, I didn't have a career path. And that was the spring of 2017. So that was literally like 2 years ago. I didn't have like a pathway, so I went to a career, like I had like a consultation with one of the advisors at Centennial, and they told me that I should go to Humber for 2 years. There's another internship opportunity, you know what I mean? Maybe your internship, you felt like you didn't truly get what you wanted out of it, so go to Humber, do the 2 years, have another internship, you know what I mean? And so I go to Humber, I do another internship, and you know what I mean? My portfolio for the 405 and my website was the thing that got me my internship at Rap Season, because Samo, who I met over Twitter DM, you know what I mean, facilitated it. And I look back on things and I'm like, I can't believe those moments became moments that changed everything, you know what I mean? Like, and another thing too, not only is going back to mental health, not only is that important to maintain your mental health, because sleep is important and all of that is important, and you should talk to people if you're feeling stressed out or overwhelmed. And I do have people in my life that I talk to, especially my sister. Like, she like keeps me in check when I like have phone conversations with her. Definitely number one, because she can tell you everything. Not only is mental health important, it's just like, I wouldn't have sacrificed everything if I didn't believe this would work out. You know what I mean? So do what you're willing to do, but never feel like you can't ask for help, or never feel like, because in this industry, it virtually is impossible to get a job. You know what I mean? It's impossible to do this. You know what I mean? It's like making it to the NBA. You know what I mean? It really is. Because what you're like, imagine getting paid to write. Anybody can write, you know what I mean? So you might get to a point where you feel like, I can't do this, I'm done. And I'm telling you, if you're ever at that point, just keep pushing. You know what I mean? If your mental health gets bad, talk to somebody. Please, talk to someone. You know what I mean? But keep pushing. Trust me, it's possible. If anything, I did it. And you can do it too, you know what I mean? It's that simple. It's not that simple, but
Thanks, man.
All right.
That was cool.
It's beautiful. Kid from the 6. Leaveitmessy.
Thank you guys for having me.
No, I'm not gonna.